What's going on, fellas? This is a quick video to try and answer a question that Jake had asked in his weekly review earlier on today. And so the first part of this, you can see that I've got this great big steaming pile of food. So once I've talked about the first point, I'm going to pause, eat my lunch, and then we'll talk about the next points. But I've got this great big steaming pile of food in front of me, and the macros for this are, I'll put it in the video, and I'll put the calories in the video as well. But basically, this is a meal that is made of high satiety food, so there's really high index of foods that that I've chosen to make sure that I feel satiated. Because hunger, which is the question that Jake asked earlier on, how do I mitigate or how do I manage hunger when I'm in this calorie deficit for this long? Outside of a few other things that we'll talk about, which is creating a reasonable and realistic and manageable long-term calorie deficit, there are things that we can do to mitigate hunger in the moment. And that means when it comes to choosing foods, we can choose foods that lead to higher satiety while still allowing us to hit our macros. So here I've got some ground turkey, some brown rice, some mixed veg, and some egg beaters or fake egg whites. Mainly just because it's easier to control the egg beaters and egg whites in terms of like measuring things out. I'm not wasting eggs and that kind of stuff. I'm not throwing yolks out. So egg beaters are, they do exactly the same thing that eggs do. But I've chosen foods here that give me this massive mountain of food. So this will probably take me about 20 minutes to eat. I'm going to eat it with a spoon. I'm going to eat it mindfully. I'm not going to multitask whilst I'm doing it. It'll take me about 20 minutes to eat, and by the end of it, although I will have only consumed roughly around 500 calories, and again I'll give you the exact data in the post, but roughly 500 calories, it will have taken me 20 minutes to eat. So psychologically I will have satisfied that need of do I remember, do I recognize that I'm eating? You bet your ass I do. If I'm chewing down a lot of vegetables and a lot of high fiber foods and ground turkey and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I definitely recognize that I'm eating. There's also a massive volume of food, and this is going to take up a large amount of real estate in my stomach. So I'm not going to get that grumble. I'm not going to get that, oh, my belly's empty for a long time. Even though these foods, especially the higher fiber foods, are maybe going to go through my system a little bit quicker than other foods that maybe stick around a little bit more, starches, that kind of stuff. I'm still getting this really nourishing meal. I'm getting a high volume of food, and I'm getting both physiologically and psychologically satisfied by the amount of food that I'm choosing. So the food list has been organized and indexed in a way where all those foods chosen on the food list are of a high satiety. So when you choose foods, right, the reason we talk about sticking to the food list is because those foods are going to be the ones that are going to allow us to make smaller incremental changes within our nutrition needs in terms of our calories and macronutrients, but they're also going to take up a massive amount of real estate in my guts. When I choose to eat this type of food, I get to eat a large volume of food. If you were trying to gain weight, for example, the opposite would also be true. You would want to choose foods that are low on the index, kind of more calorie dense, and don't take up a large amount of real estate if you're struggling to get in enough food to meet your needs each day. That's when we talk about using protein powders as like a supplement to allow you to hit your protein number without feeling like you're like, oh God, I've got to have another steak. Oh God, I've got to eat more chicken. Oh God, I've got to eat more tuna, more eggs on toast, like whatever it is. A protein shake is going to give you a really dense amount of protein and calories in a pretty small real estate. So all those foods on the food list have been indexed in a way that they drive higher satiety. So before this gets cold, I'm going to stop this video and eat my lunch. But hopefully this gives you an understanding that you want to choose foods that lead you to feeling full and satisfied, because although we can't avoid hunger, what we can do is we can mitigate it and we can manage it, right? We can limit its effects. If I'm choosing foods that are low satiety indexed, let's say, for example, like I could eat this, or I could eat a cheeseburger. I'll eat a cheeseburger in less than 2 minutes, and then I'm still hungry, I could probably eat my hand afterwards. 20 minutes from now, I'm not going to be excited about eating. I wouldn't want to eat anymore. But calorically, I've not done a ton of damage, right? I've not pushed my calories really high. So this is the food that I've chosen to make this meal work. And I would suggest that, if hunger is an issue for you, you do choose similarly high satiety foods from the food list.